As the presentation starts, I think I have to do you're starting your own presentation. Yes, you're starting your. I would like to ask you to already come and start your presentation. I will sit down and we'll do a short introduction. Sit down, please. There's still some room in the middle, so please don't stand. It's a long session. Is the microphone working? No. Hello? Yep. Now it's working. So welcome. Come sit down. There's lots of room in the front, so come and sit here. So I would like to introduce Jan. Jan Annerstedt is working for is working. Oh, I have the wrong information.
Don't worry, I will just speak.
Jan is working for the Copenhagen Business School. Yeah, probably you will do some short introduction yourself. He's a professor and he's from Denmark. Jan is Denmark's UNESCO Chair in Communication and has been a professor at the International Economics and Management School, Business School in Copenhagen. And he's also an advisor to many cities. So Jan, thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you for coming. This is the summary of what I'm going to say, or the appetizer, rather. The official title for my presentation is How to Renew a New City. Stockholm, in 2010, became the green capital of Europe. It's considered one of the best infrastructures for sustainable development. And the area in which this was inaugurated is very close to the city center. It's walking distance, actually, to the city center. It has a lot of qualities, not just for housing and so on, but also for infrastructure, for business, for social services, for education, even for research and so on. And it's being integrated, you could say, into the fabric with some interesting details and so on. It's water-based. Stockholm, as you know, is a city on water. And this particular piece of the city center is called Hammarby Sjöstad. It's the sea city, or the lake city of the Hammarby, which is one of the suburbs to the city. It was built, it was starting to be conceptualized, first of all, in 1991. And when the Olympics were planned for 2002, the idea was to put the Olympic Games in Stockholm. So Stockholm made a bid to develop this into the sea. This is an aerial view from the area, which is about 2-3 years old. This is how it looked 10 years ago, the same area. So it was pretty run-down area at the time, and then they said, we'll do like Barcelona. We will rethink our city at the same time as we make the Olympic Village in walking distance for the city center. And we will take an old run-down area, like was done here in Barcelona, and turn it into something very interesting. And we will do this on the basis that it's not just for the Olympic Games, but it should also be for citizens in the future. So this I looked in 1990 when the project, so to speak, was envisaged. And then the plans came for the 2004, not the 2002 Olympics. And then it became 10 years later, or 20 years later from the conceptual side, the green capital of Europe. And it stays so. I mean, I would claim today that this is the most interesting. If you want to see the full-scale sustainability in a city today, in a capital city even, you should go to Stockholm. 17,000 people visited this area last year. 17,000 people for the purpose, registered visits, and then there was lots of others, including the president of China. He came a few years before he was appointed as a way of preparing himself for his great job in China. And you can see on this map, perhaps this matters a little better, from where the delegations, the registered delegations come. There is a visitor center if you go there and so on. So the city has said, okay, we didn't get the Olympic Games in those times, but we got a first-class sustainable area. And it was the green capital. But now, people come to visit, 17,000 people visiting, but could it stay on to be the most interesting area in 2020? Could we do something which is similar? Can we invent the housing area, integrate that with business areas? Can we implant or plug in university, science park activities and so on into this area? Can we make it sustainable in a new way 10 years ahead in 2020 and so on? Can we use the facilities, the interesting buildings and so on, the housing, which is a little upgraded over the years? Can we use it in such a way? So we come back to the issue discussed this morning, from bird to frog. This was envisaged and planned by the city and by its specialists, also foreign specialists who came in to do the best sustainable city area of Europe. But what should we do in order to sustain? Why should people come and visit and work and live and learn from this area? So this presentation is about, you could say, the smart citizen approach. What has happened is that the city administration said, fine, we did this, we succeeded, we are the best, at least in 2010. But how do we go beyond that? What do we do? Well, the city says, let's do another area of a similar sort, a little better perhaps in another part of the city. But the citizens themselves, about 20,000 people living in the area now, about 10,000 working in the area coming in. There will be about 35,000 people involved in different ways. So one way of doing it was to organize a strong, you could say, movement, social activity in the area to rethink the area. Those people who lived there for some time wanted to take charge in some way. So we created an organization called HS 2020. It stands for, the future of this. It's a citizen initiative. It also involves a consortium of economically strong players, and it has a project platform, project base for moving. And it should be seen as an innovation platform. So it's not just to rest on the laurels, but also think, okay, what can we do further? Can we use a living lab methodology? Can we engage citizens and citizens groups, companies, universities, and so on, to get something further? Negotiations took place with the city administration. It said, fine, you do what you want. We've done it. We were proud of that. We won't do anything more. Of course, we'll do some improvements and so on. Basically, it's done. We moved to another area of the city. We have two new investment projects. But the HS 2020, which I represent here today, said, okay, let's do an innovation platform of a little different character. Let's take the frog perspective, not the bird's perspective. Let's take the bottom-up approach that we discussed this morning in the planning here, and see the city area as an innovation platform. What do we do then? If the innovation, we need to have some projects. So basically, the organization, which is founded by the cooperative associations in the area, there are about more than 50 such organizations. They formed this umbrella organization called SSG, and they started to develop different projects. This happened 3 years ago, so it's real time happening. One area is it's called the electricity, the innovation cluster, organizing for the purpose of mobile communications, not just by phone and so on, but also transportation, organize a cluster of interest. So if the city wasn't involved, let's get the business involved. So we went to the Volvo Bus Corporation, still owned by the Swedes and not by the Chinese, and they said, we're very interesting to have a full-scale, one-to-one experiment with a bus, electronic bus line from the center to this place. Let's develop this. Secondly, let's put this as not just on buses, but also on all kinds of vehicles. Let's look at use efficiency. We'll talk about this a little bit later. We have all these buildings now established. You saw the pictures before. Let's make more of energy efficiency out of this. We save money. The city saves money. It's good for the environment and so on. Let's rethink the waste management. Let's also think about water treatment, which is a water city. Let's rethink that again and see if we can do something better and more comprehensive, more intelligent. And let's look at various forms of healthy living and sports and so on, because in this area there are some wonderful opportunities to do outdoor sports, including skiing, not just in the wintertime, but perhaps also in summertime. I'll come back to this in a moment. Let's look at world-class events of Santander to create a buzz around the area and develop that into something great. And of course, let's use to the maximum level possible the digital devices we all have in our pockets and in our purses and so on. So basically, the HS 2020 turned itself into an innovation platform, a project organization, negotiating not with the city, because the city said, fine, we've done it, but negotiating with all the other parties that needs to be involved, from business, from universities, from other parts of the society, see if we can create something that goes beyond this. So I will go through a few cases. Time allows another 2 minutes, I hope. One is on electricity, which is basically an electromobility project. This is done by a small project team under this umbrella organization I told you about, who negotiates, discusses, invents, co-creates different options for the transportation, including the water transportation, which is now getting electric, and having a bus system 7 kilometers long to the city center as a showcase also for what could be achieved, and doing that in full scale by next year. Energy management, recycling, etc., is another one. I have to jump this because time is short, and look into the waste management, which is already, I guess, the top of the world today, where you have a system which is fully integrated. It's vacuum distribution. You put it into, you sort, in three different boxes. You sort this, and then you move. It's moved into a bio fermentation and turned into for driving and for electricity production locally. So there is a full scale, you could say, cycle developed. And this is the Chinese version of that, because I wanted to show you that. Water purification is another case. I'll go through that. And that includes also water, surface water, which is one of the big issues in many cities, including Stockholm today. We need to protect our environment, use modern and old technologies combined, and we need to have locks of different sorts to control the water. So when it's a big flooding coming, this city area is very well prepared also for the enjoyment of the water you have around. Media is another part. I told you a little bit about get the local media up to, and that's also a way to create, you could say, the local buzz. Let me finish by jumping a few slides across the culture and communication, sports, and come to my conclusions, the 5 lessons. I think 5 lessons could be learned from this story. The city got disinterested when it reached its targets. What do? You form an alliance of a different sort. You build from beneath. You take a bottom-up approach. You develop and you search for value outcomes, not for the technical solution. The technical solutions are available, already installed, some of them, in the infrastructure. What do next? You look on new approaches to experiment with city development, not just looking for city hall, but looking for what the citizens themselves need and organize them, getting them involved directly. So we have a sort of barefoot mayor. One of the persons who is very skillful in negotiations and so on has more or less emerged as the barefoot mayor, contradicting in a sense, sometimes, also the official mayor of the Stockholm city. Thirdly, we have an activity going on that benefits more systematically from the citizens, involving them proactively, discussing, doing small business meetings, roundtables, and so on. Fourthly, recognize that there is a human dimension. We heard this morning. There is a human dimension to all of this. It's not just technology. It's not just solutions. It's not just demand control and transparency and so on. It's also about who drives this process forward. And can we, in a positive sense, use this as a lever, as a way to pole vault to new city services? Be inventive. And that's why I think companies like Siemens, Fortum, Volvo, Saab, Ericsson, and so on, is deeply involved. They got a Fingerspitzengefühl, a fingertop touch on the developments that is different from the procurement procedures they normally meet when they discuss with City Hall. So City Hall, in a sense, is bypassed constructively with this organization, with this way of working, and so on. And this is a challenge positive and negative from the City Hall, positive and negative from the citizens. Thank you.
Jan, thank you for the interesting presentation about Stockholm and what is happening there. We have time for one clarification question. So if you have a question right now, go ahead. If not, then we go on. There are still some 5 or 6 spaces in front here. So you don't have to stand in the back. If you are not afraid to sit in front, there's more than enough space here. So come down and there's more than enough space. At least 6, 7 spaces.
Great.
So
Thanks.
let me introduce the next speaker, which is Volker.
No.
Oh, sorry, Mats. Oh, you're now. Okay, that's fine. Mats Lagur. Mats is working for Schneider Electric. He is the director of strategic sales, and he's really involved in energy projects and projects that really develop the future for cities. He was the managing director of the billing automation group, and I would like to give him the word and good luck with your presentation.
Thank you very much. First of all, I will just give you a short introduction to performance contracting, which is actually a tool and a model to motivate investment necessary to fulfill the sustainable city. And it's focused really on energy savings part, but it's also looking into the operational efficiency. So sometimes we narrow it down a little bit too much, I think, to only energy savings. I'll come back to that later. It's also a model for evaluating the profitability of an investment, and it's secured by giving guaranteed results. So here we have a model that is very clear in what you actually buy and what you actually get. So what do you want to do then? I will try to cover these topics here. I will go a bit fast now here with a roadmap and a little bit about financial barriers, which is a hurdle for us. About the approach and the business model, I will try to cover a very quick customer case and a typical Swedish recommendation if I had time enough. In Sweden we give recommendation, we are not so demanding here, you know. Anyway, starting with the roadmap, what do you want to achieve really? Well, of course you would like to achieve the smart city goals. And there we talk about being self-sufficient and being carbon neutral as one of the two goals really. And to start this journey really, and I will focus now on energy savings and energy services, is to start measuring things. You need to understand where you actually are to be able to take a decision on where to go then. And to have these KPIs really develop. And then there are many other things you have to consider regarding cities like population density and distributed governance and coordination of challenges, the environment, the infrastructure, etc. So this is a way of really focusing more and have a concrete way of going really to be more energy efficient. So here are some of the parts that I think are more important than others, and to define these smart city KPIs is very important for us. And we are doing that all the time in close collaboration with the cities. And then you start to optimize things about the maintenance, about the energy savings. I strongly recommend to work with qualified partners. Of course, Schneider is seen as a qualified partner and expertise. And you incorporate this performance contracting model in your smart city offering. So, just going forward, one of the big hurdles, one of the big knots you have to be revealed really is to really break down the financial barrier, because that is always the trick. And there are many different models on the market out there which you can use that partly solves your problem really, how to finance things. I will not go into this part at all. I will just focus on the performance contracting part, sorry. There is always a possibility to finance this kind of project via a third party, a financial institute, or which is most common, at least in the Nordic country to take up loan. And you are using this model just to evaluate the performance of the contract and really to evaluate the profitability also. There are 4 perspectives of this performance contracting. I will just mention it very briefly. A lot of advantages, a lot of pluses. And of course, we have been focusing mostly in the project on the facilities in the cities, in the healthcare sector and in the municipalities. And of course, we create an increased net operating income, and there is a reduced risk also, at least for the user, our customer, due to the fact that we give a guarantee of the outcome. There is a positive, or should be a positive, result effect. That's perhaps a Swedish word, but cash flow is the normal word. To have a positive cash flow within the whole contract. There is a possibility to finance this via an off-balance solution. That means that you have a third-party finance institute which will take on the debts and the load really, and of course to increase the asset value. And then we have, which is obvious, the environment, of course, reduced emissions. We have the infrastructure improvements. We are upgrading a lot of technological stuff. And thereby we reduce the maintenance part also. But what is most important with this kind of project is really the cooperation. It is a long-term commitment. So you have to be extremely close between the public sector and the private sector to make it happen. A little bit about the business model. It is quite easy actually, for those who haven't heard it before. We have a buyer, a city who buys energy. We have a provider of energy, the utility. And there is often a lot of needs really, improvement needs, and needs of really get the energy consumption down. So this is how the business model works. You have a contractor, in this case it's Schneider Electric, who will focus on the energy and the renewables and will create all the savings in the guaranteed way. Thereby you will have a reduced cost of energy. You take the energy savings to pay for the third-party finance or your loan actually, and then you can add in additional capital if you have any. And then you pay the contractor, in this case Schneider Electric here, for the whole project in investment or the whole project cost. Or you can look at it in this way. Here's a more broader perspective. On the left hand here you have the total operational cost for a typical operation in the city, consisting of energy, plant maintenance and on-demand maintenance. And what you will get here is a direct effect, meaning that you reduce the on-demand maintenance immediately, and sometimes also the plant maintenance, and you create a big chunk of energy savings here, which you are used to really, within the contract, pay for the whole investment. That is the idea. And after the contract is finalized, then you will get access to all the savings, and you have a total effect, and it should be very sustainable, and you are running now on a lower cost rate. When we look into customer cases, this is one good example from Sweden. It's a municipality called Örebro, and I quote just the property manager here. He says he was running in a vicious circle, meaning that the whole budget was really eaten by an enormous increased energy cost here. So we were on a way that the planned maintenance went down and the energy cost went up enormously, and we were heading what he called a budget crash. So we have to do something else to break the curves down and create room for investment really. And this was done via this kind of energy performance contracting project. They invested in 7 million euros. 500,000 square meters were analyzed. Did a lot of very concrete things here, like installation of renewable heat pumps. District heating was more efficient, and biofuel conversions. We had the LED lighting, we had the centralized building management system and so on, and water conservation measures also. So a lot of things were done, and we managed to get the energy savings down to 25% and the CO2 emission with 36 and so on. So the energy savings are already measured and are proven. The CO2 emission here is actually calculated, for instance. So just give you an example of the financial result, because this is what interesting the decision takers in the city. And this is one way of measuring things. And what you see here is the year when this project is running. And the demand from the customer was really here to run on a positive side regarding cash flow. And you see here it's in year 3, 4, we're very close to 0, and then it goes up again. And the top curve is actually the accumulated result. So the whole idea here is to have a balanced result effect or a cash flow generated by the energy savings, which are on the positive side, and on the negative side is the cost of the capital cost, the interest, and the depreciation of the installed equipment. And this is how they actually measure it. And we are running here on the positive side. So I have some recommendations also, but I can wait with them perhaps a little bit later, because you asked me if when it fails. And when it fails is when you don't follow the recommendations here, so that's why. Okay.
Thank you very much. I think it's worth. It's a very interesting example where you, in your project, use the cost savings to finance part of the project. I think it's an excellent example. Yeah. Are there some questions? Is there one question, burning question from the people here? If not. No, I don't think so. Then we thank you very much for your presentation. Thanks. We move on to the next presentation. So we move on from the Nordics to the UK. Volker, or is the oh no, the order is different. So it's we go to Spain, and I would like to introduce Emilio Fernández. Emilio is working for a company that is specializing in water cycle management. Company is called Aqualia, and they are managing the water in the area of Santander. It's a real good example of smarter water management, and good luck with your presentation.
Thank you very much. Good morning to everybody. First of all, I would like to thank the organization for giving FCC Aqualia the opportunity to be here, sharing with us our experience about public collaborations models, and of course, Santander case study. In Spain, public collaborations and private models have been successful models. It has been a successful experience. Public administrations gives the services to the citizens, and also private companies can collaborate to make these services more efficient, more sustainable, and more kind to environment. In this line, we must focus to make the services more effective, more sustainable, and more efficient. Obviously, this is one of the objectives of a smart city. In the city model, we must have clear that the citizen is the main character of the smart city. And this aspect is precisely main axis of our company strategy. According to this, in our research, development, and innovation strategy, FCC, Aqualia, and Santander City Council, and also University of Cantabria are developing an ambitious pilot program and technological project, which main objective is to step forward into the future about water management cycle and integrate it into the municipality innovation director plan. With the implementation of this project, we seek to give a better, more efficient, and more sustainable service to the citizens, supported on ICT technologies. As a little summary, this is the 3 main points I would like to focus. About the company I represent, Aqualia is a water management company from FCC, one of the biggest citizen services in Europe. It's the third water company in the world. Operates in more than 17 countries, from 4 continents, in more than 1,100 municipalities. You can see the portfolio, over 13,000 millions, about 30% is in international countries. And the turnover in 2012, over 860 million. Okay, let's talk about a little bit about Santander for those who haven't known the city yet. Santander is a city located on the north of Spain, in the Cantabric Sea. The population is about 200,000 inhabitants. Here you have the area, here you have the location. The distribution of consumption is about 30% of non-domestic and 70% on domestic. Let's talk about the public-private collaboration model in Santander. As you can see, the water management model followed in Santander is a public-private collaboration. The tender for the concession of the water supply, as you can see, was called on 2005, and on 2006, the City Council agreed to award Aqualia with a 25 years concession to water management in Santander. The contract was signed on 31st March 2006. Here you have the full water cycle management in Santander. We take the bulk water over 40 kilometers on the south from the city. We transport it until the potabilization plant, and after that we transport again the water along 9 kilometers. Then we have a more than 250 water supply network, and then we have more than 300 sewage collectors. And I would like to focus on this point. This is the main point of my presentation about technological innovation. I would like to tell you that water, as you know, is an increasingly scarce resource, especially here in Spain. So as population tend to concentrate in the cities, it is critical to manage this resource more efficient and sustainable. One of the key factors to achieve this objective is R&D and I strategy, research, development, and innovation. So in that direction, Municipality of Santander, Aqualia, and the university are working on the last time. Here you have 3 of our axes about Aqualia's strategy. In addition to this, as I formerly said, water management must rotate about the city, the citizens. We must be able to know and control main parameters in real time, so we can be able to take decisions accordingly and offer to the city, to the citizen, a service quality unknown until now. Technological innovation allows us to improve the services provided, make them more effective, better quality, and as well as make us more competitive. A city becomes smart when urban services are provided in an efficient, sustainable way, respecting environment, improving life quality. Citizens are interacting through their mobile phones, smartphones, as signal receptors, with information provided by millions of sensors deployed in all along the city. This is an interactive process of continuous improvement. As the city becomes one more sensor, and this communication must be bidirectional, as the own citizen can give other information to other citizens or to municipality administration or public or private operators to improve their services. So our goal is to integrate water management into the smart city model, meeting all their requirements and becoming a world leader in smart water management. This is the signing, the photo of the signing of the partnership agreement I was talking to you about. And these are the key objectives to pursue. First, develop a pilot program, Smart Citizens, Smart Water, to integrate municipal water management into the City Council's director plan, to define the step to modernize the actual water management, explain the technology and the infrastructure we will need to do that. Second, define precise technological systems that can integrate and interact with other technologies, with other solutions from other services, waste, recycling, public transportation. The third goal is to develop a tool that allows us, the global manager of the full water cycle service, through new applications, both from the operators and for the citizens through smartphones. And of course, foster the transfer of knowledge and coordinate with other Santander City smart city projects. And this is our action plan. It's divided into 5 phases. The first one, we must focus on a smart sector definition. The second one, we want to deploy a sensor network. Third one, we want to make a model about the water network, water and sewage network. Fourth one, we are going to analyze all the data obtained from the sensors. And the last one, we are going to develop applications, also for citizens, as I was talking before, and also for the operators, and at last, for the municipality. We are going to focus in one sector which have the following requirements. It is heterogeneous, different customers, industrial, commercial, services, different kind of apartments, only water inlet. This is an isolated sector, an area of potential risk flooding, just to make a risk management, and easy access area with a modern infrastructure. This sector has 5,000 people of population. Here you can see the sector with the services and the network. Okay, the second phase in which we are working now is the deployment of sensor network. We are going to install flow meters on supply network. 1 unit sectorial water meter and 2 units of irrigation network. We are going to, the functions are this one, you can see. We are going also to install a smart pressure regulating valve, 4 units pressure sensors data logger. After this, we are going to measure the water quality parameters with a continuous quality water parameter analyzer. We are going to measure water level sensor in the sewage collection. And we are going to install remote metering sensors. Okay. After this, in the third phase, we are going to model the water network, just to know better how the network functions, to know the performance under different hypotheses, hard rain, drought periods, breakdowns. After that, this is one of the main phases, is to create a data repository, to be able to analyze the whole information we are going to receive from all the sensors, analyzing the interaction between the operating parameters and the water network and the simultaneous behavior of different consumption rates in the sector. Second phase and last one is to develop applications, both, as I was telling, for citizens, smartphone apps, and for the operator, in this case, Aqualia and municipality. These are 3 modules. Here you can see. We have the historic statistical analysis module. We can know the values about consumption, medium, maximum, minimum, to make statistic standards, also about pressure, water quality. We will be able to have warnings about, for example, fast changes in the flow or in the pressure, water level, overflow warning, connection with weather station of municipality, just to warn the citizen, just to be the first to notice when something in the network doesn't work, just to be the first. The operator must be the first to notice that, not the citizen. Here you have warnings for the citizens, the develop for the applications for smartphones. And these are the investments in the network in these 7 years. And I think time is out. So that's all. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Emilio. I think it's really interesting to see a city really work together with a company like your company, and together making sure the environment and the water use is being influenced. Are there any burning questions now from the public here to explain something? If not, yeah, there I see a question. Maybe it's good because if you stand up, I will give you the microphone. If you announce yourself, who you are, then probably we can be all hearing. You have a microphone. Go ahead.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. My name is Marianne Serve. I work for the City of Lyon as Smart City Project Manager. And we always have some issues how to integrate the water sector in our vision. So, because it's not something which is directly seen by the citizen. I mean, something which is seen as normal. So I would like to understand, you talked about applications for citizens, but you didn't say what kind of applications, like what the citizen will be able to do in order to improve the system.
Okay. The citizens in their smartphone applications will be able to know, for example, their virtual invoice. For example, with your last consumption of the last day, you will be able to enter to the system and have your virtual invoice. For example, I have a 23 euros invoice since last involving period. For example, when you have an abnormal parameter about your consumption or your pressure, if there is a strange parameter, maybe due to a breakdown, we will be able to warn the citizen about that. You don't have supply water in your home because there is a breakdown on the network, so you will be 2-3 hours without your supply. Or, for example, when you want to do some changes in your contract conditions, I want to change my bank details. So instead of going physically to our company, you can do it through your smartphone. So that's 2 or 3 examples about the applications.
Thank you. Next, the UK. So we go from the Nordics to Spain to the UK. We go up a little bit. The weather is not improving, but maybe the experience is improving. I want to introduce you Volker Buscher. Volker is working for Arup. He there is a director, and he is advising London. He's in the board of Smarter London, which is a group of people advising the city to really help emerge London even further into being a smarter city. I think they're already quite smart, but hopefully you can help them and you can share some information with us how you want to do that. Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Good morning. Thank you. I mean, as a German on a Smart London board right now, it feels very good. I can't wait to our next board meeting on Thursday when I can talk about the football result last night. So that is good. But the issue around a smart city or smart London is quite interesting because there are not many cities in the room or in the world who don't want to be smart. When this conference started 3 years ago, I think that was the discussion. What is smart? Why? Do we really need more technology in cities? But now the discussion has moved on. I think 3 years later we see a very different debate, which I will take you through briefly. My role is in Arup leading our global smart cities work, and in London on the Smart London board we're advising the mayor Boris Johnson and his deputy mayor Kit Malthouse as an independent board on what they could be doing next. So he assembled a group of people from industry, from academia, from the press to be a critical friend to help the government of London to determine what they want to do next. Before I do that, I just want to give a quick background. We hear a lot about the physical city, and I think we saw again good example today in Sweden about the physical regeneration of city and that future of cities to decouple resource consumption from growth to make it more sustainable and more livable, I think is a strategic debate. What I will be focusing on today is the second part, what we call the information marketplaces, which is around the role of digital assets and information in the city's economy. All the references I have are published on the Arab website under information marketplaces, or some research for the C40 group, or research on the RIBA for the Research Council of British Architects. So I will go through the references quite quickly because they're all available online. I think where a lot started is in San Francisco, and it's worth quickly going back to some of the early days. When Gavin Newsom was the mayor, I actually think he did some amazing work, but he had it easy. Because when the emergence of digital assets became a strategic issue, his citizens, his voters, as far as I can see, all work for Google or Facebook. So the political mandate to be strategic about the role of digital assets and information in the city was very strong. When they then realized this pretty much affected everything, because we are now all carrying smart devices, we can use it to have significant efficiency gains in the way we operate or run the city, but also that it's become of a social city or of a humane city. He was in the perfect place to change everything the city does. He also had Chris Vane with him as a chief information officer who understood the technical, the political, and the organizational challenges that came from that. But why, 8 years later now, or 7 years later, have not more cities followed this example? And why is London now setting up the Smart London Board years after that event to get their head around? I think the reason is that in San Francisco and in places like Chicago now, and I think actually Stockholm is very good too, the combination of what we call soft infrastructures, the top bit, where value assessment, governance, strategic thinking, and most importantly citizen engagement are clearly understood across the whole city, what we call the city as a system. So when they then do the hard infrastructure, the technology projects, you have a very strong alignment between political mandate, civic organization, and the execution of technology projects. And only when you achieve between the level 3 and 4 definition of those two domains, hard and soft infrastructures, we feel cities can achieve the overall strategic aims. And these strategic aims are changing quite rapidly in front of us. We just finished with Bristol University a 4-year doctorate program. And the conclusion of that really is that we have moved from a discussion that originally was an environmental discussion of smart technologies, which then moved into a functional debate around congestion and maybe policing or crime in cities, and into an economic discussion about micro businesses and startups, which for my liking actually at this event, just as a comment, are well underrepresented. I know the big sponsors need to be here, and they have a major role to play in the smart cities world, but the jobs will be created by the small and the microeconomies of cities. And they should have a stronger voice in this. Those three, functional, environment, economic, have now been not surpassed, but are also being overtaken by a new debate about what we call the humane city. So what happened when the functional stuff took hold, that the citizens felt this was a techno-utopian future they did not necessarily agree with. The fridge talking to them, the mirror being in the morning in their face with their next meeting, the car telling them where to drive, didn't necessarily sound like the city where the citizen wanted to live. So Alan Penn at UCL in London, for example, has written a great document called Urban Pamphleteer, terrible title, great document, where he talks about a humane city, where the citizen himself perceives the city as a benign place to live, where the experience of the city is in the foreground. And all surveys that we've done have shown that that is still, together with job creation, the single most important reason why a citizen moves or wants to stay in a city. The overall experience of being in a great place. What is now happening at the top right corner of the slide is though that the leaders of cities are also realizing this is changing the political fabric of the city. The engagement model between the leader and the citizen and amongst the citizen is changing. The London riots were a wake-up to that, where the people complaining about what happened in the city, which was terrible, had the ability to organize themselves better and faster and more agile than the police or any organization in the city. They are the same digital platforms that we're talking about to manage congestion or water efficiency or other bits. The bypassing of lobbyists for city government to create city policy and planning frameworks will change the political landscape of cities, I think, forever. So now cities face the challenge to operate the city with a smart city with a purpose that covers all 5 aspects of the spectrum. And the UK government then commissioned a study to say, so what happens if you are a leader? And we think the interesting part, and that is that the global market opportunity to operate in this space as a leader, we classify as around $400 billion. Don't ask me why it's 408. You know, I guess it could be 395 or 412. But the issue is not so much the definite number, it's the scale of the market opportunity in the instrumentation and the modernization of the water industry, the waste industry, transport, energy, assisted living, and these are only 5 of the much broader areas that we considered. And on top of that, the understanding of the city as a system. So cities are now chasing not just a value proposition locally for their own citizens, they are also chasing market leadership in this global marketplace so that their own companies can export and sell into this rapidly expanding opportunity. And the UK, I'll go through this quickly actually. The UK then compared to other cities has some strength in terms of its skills and capabilities, but it also has some weaknesses with regard to the lack of a holistic vision at national government and city level. The capability of leadership is weak, and the business case to invest not just bottom-up, which I think will continue and is a critical part of it, but the ability to invest also in top-down frameworks and both political and civil leadership structures is not very clear. And there's a perceived lack of commitment. You know, is this what we call in Arab, the lipstick on the bulldog? I don't want to be a dumb city. Or will we follow other cities that have set up, I'll set up governance models, I invest 70 million, I invest 100 million, you know, strategic commitments to sustainable change in cities. So this is where most of the UK cities are right now on the spectrum in our view. And the UK government has picked this up. David Willetts, the Minister for Science and Universities, has set up a new forum at a national level to see how can we move this towards the right of this diagram. And the Smart London Board is trying to do just that. And what we are doing right now, in brief, we're only early into our term, so we can't publish that our delivery plan, or sorry, the GLA, the Greater London Authority, can't yet publish their delivery plan because they're developing it as we speak, and we are there as critiques and contributors to that plan. But a few things we can share and show. The first one is, it is important to understand, not just for London, but for many cities, these are still growing cities. So London is expecting an extra 1 million people to add to its population. If you ask the people currently in London, are we waiting for these people to arrive with the pressure on housing and transport that we already have, with the water constraints, with the energy, with the pollution levels? I'm not sure, but they will come anyway. So we're facing the challenge of the city constantly expanding and growing. I find the button on the right, by the way, quite challenging because it makes me quite old. You know, I always thought the median age must be much higher in a city like London, and I would still be on the young side of the city, but now there's clearly evidence I'm not. So I need to take that off the slide next time. I'm sorry for that. So the Smart London Board has spent a lot of time actually thinking about what the vision is, and we came up with this, using the creative power of new technologies to serve London and improve Londoners' lives. Yeah? And the improve Londoners' lives, I think, sounds very simple, and everybody has that probably in their mission statement, but it's actually very hard to deliver. And you can find more on www.london.gov.uk, so I need to hurry up. And the reason for that is we mapped the ecosystem of all the companies and institutes that are currently actively involved around Smart London. I don't expect you to read them all. But it's the scale and the complexity of the map that is a challenge for the government to organize their actions. So what is the role of the Greater London Authority in the center of that circle to optimize this ecosystem for parking, for transport, for security, for waste, for water, for energy, greater parks, greater experiences, more connectivity. In each of these instances, you have a different configuration of this ecosystem taking place. How will it then generate jobs? How will it make the city a more livable city? The current plan, or the draft delivery plan, is then broken into 7 areas. London is at the core, access to open data, leveraging London's research, tech and creative talent, brought together through networks, enable London to adapt and grow, and City Hall to better serve Londoners' needs. This is where we have a bit of a critical debate right now with City Hall. What is that actually? What is your specific role in this? And I'm sure many other cities are currently facing the same question. And then offering the smarter experience for all. For each of those, the GLA will establish explicit actions they will publish towards the end of this year, early next year, and measures how they can measure progress or success. So the big question is, do cities want to be leaders or followers? Do they want to be followers in the sense that others will solve these big problems and they then apply it in their own city with less risk? Or do they want to be leaders and also capture the global market opportunity that exists in that space and get the political capital of having innovated, having been one of the first? Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, very, very interesting to hear about London and how London wants to become smarter. And now we want to take some questions. We have a few minutes left, so we take some questions. In the back, I see a hand there. Maybe that was the first that went up. So the lady there, yeah. Go ahead, please. Introduce yourself, please.
Yes, Sandra Bear with Smart Cities Council. For the last speaker, I'm just curious, is there like a vehicle that you've used to survey? You mentioned that you do a lot of surveys, so bridging the gap between citizen interests as well as cutting through the silos within a city. Is there a survey that you're taking, a guide you're producing?
We do 3 things. One is the trying to get data from citizens is difficult. So we work with partners who usually organize these processes for crowdsourcing and the different activities you can use for that. The second one is the basic market research that we do about the industry opportunity. The third one is where we organize research with cities that is completely confidential. For the C40 network, a network of mega cities, every 2 years we do an analysis of all their actions across multiple dimensions, but in a completely private environment, because the problem is that cities are politically led, and where things don't work, they don't necessarily want to have that published, but they are now clever enough that they want to talk about it. So they are the 3 sources. And I think the third one, the private discussion with the city leadership about where they really are and what they don't understand, is as critical as getting direct citizen input into the debate.
Thank you. Next question there, yes.
Yes, hello, my name is Caterina Sarfatti from the Municipality of Milan. I had 2 quick questions. One to the first 2 presentations were very interesting models of public-private partnership, but what if the city is not able to be a guarantee, and what if the city is not healthy and is not able to have the same access to credit and the same capability of be a guarantee, for example, for loans as it was before? That's the first question. And the second question to London, what is the key factor to be so quick? Thank you.
I hope I understand the question here, but regarding guarantee, we are the partner who give the guarantee, meaning that we include in the offer that we give not 100% guarantee of energy savings, for instance. We give perhaps 80, but it make it definitely less risk for the end user like you to pay off your loans, really. So that's the way it actually works. Did I understand your question right there, or? Okay.
Then London?
This is a bit like Eurovision, London talking. I always wanted to be able to say that. You probably don't want to hear me sing, though. The question about speed, I think, is absolutely critical. There's a saying, and the code makers are currently so far ahead of the lawmakers that the lawmakers don't know what to do. So the lawmakers have to speed up. We did a project in New Zealand, in Christchurch, which is large scale, very complicated. We had 3 days to develop a vision, and on the 4th day, we had a representative from the Prime Minister, the Mayor, and 3 chief executives in the room to decide what they want to do next. So speed is a choice. It is not something that somebody else creates. It is a choice the leadership makes around its priorities. And you just have to win the argument that this debate needs to go higher up the table. That's why the political discussion becomes so important, because as soon as the topic becomes political and will affect the electability of your leaders, I guarantee you speed and urgency will be transformed in your city.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we have no time anymore for any questions. I would like to thank the panel here for discussing this very interesting topic. I think the main conclusion is that it is crucial that cities and private companies, but also citizens, work together. If they work together well, I think we see also excellent examples on how that could work. Then we could save money, we could save the environment, and we could have better cities, which are better places to live in, where citizens really feel that they are part of the cities and are changing the city together with the government. I think that is. I think it was a great session. So thank you again, and thank you for the great questions, and thank you as a great panel.
Thank you. Thank you.